like in Seattle. That's what it gets to me when I looked at that city. That's what I saw, the gray and the hues and the things like that. I saw like not necessarily Los Angeles, but somewhere nearby where it might be a little bit more overcast all the time.
Well, I think that's interesting that they've never really pointed out where all this takes place. The only two things that I think you can ever argue that give you a true geographical sense are the first film we see the Statue of Liberty, and then the second film when we see Brent going through the subway systems and the library. Those are the only two times that 100% say that's where we are. Oh, well, actually, no, I take that back.
No, in
Escape,
we know exactly where they are because they're going to.
There you go. So I think that you can make the case that we're still on the West Coast after this.
Yeah.
The thing that kind of hits me as odd is the blasé attitude of which they see the melted city. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's occurred. Did they escape from that city after the decimation, or did they escape before the bomb?
Is this the city that the war started in?
Because they seem just sort of like, it's sort of like, hey, there it is, and I don't know. Most people are not going to escape that unless you were bunkered down way beneath the surface of the earth, and they show no signs of radiation. They've not been exposed to this before. So why do they seem so accepting of what it is? It feels like maybe they should be as shocked, like maybe they've heard the stories about it and it's worse than they expected.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, radiation lasts for a while. So you wouldn't think that they would be getting close to it for a long time. So nobody really would have seen what it looks like until now.
Right.
I mean, there's an element to in this type of sci-fi, we probably have to let go of a few things, like the onset of radiation, the time of radiation, how it affects them. The things that stuck out in my mind are this kind of really terrible Virgil exchange where it just sounds like they're kind of like going on like a storm at sea, but solidified by a bomb from an armory 1,000 times the size of ours, and nobody keeps its owners conscious. And I'm like, and a cake that was left out in the rain, like they're just kind of going on.
Yeah. What is a bomb from an armory 1,000 times our size mean?
So a bomb from an armory 1,000 times the size of ours. Ape City does not have a bomb, or do they? Right?
Well, I don't know.
McDonald was talking about somebody's bomb.
Well, also,
is he saying the city was blown up by a bomb bigger than the bomb that the city itself had, which would suggest that maybe there's a victor somewhere.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. If there is a victor, maybe on the opposite coast. What hits me is an armory 10,000 times. That city looks like it was hit by a bomb about 600,000 times bigger than what we saw of that. I even hate that kind of thing. Don't put a number to it when it's so obvious that this is just completely decimated. You've just ruined society.
That's when you go, I can't imagine the power that it took to destroy this city or something like that.
And that's where Caesar should be throwing out something like the enormity of man's hate knew no bounds. Something like that would mean more than trying to say 10,000 times bigger.
And nobody to keep its owner's conscience. What? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Caesar should be saying something about the result of man's cruelty towards apes extended to his own kind.
And there you go. You could be saying, because these films have been so often parables to an extent about racism and hate and things like that, Caesar could say something that man's hatred of ape even permeated toward himself. You could say those kind of things, how hate just eventually has to find another place to go. It
sounds like something that I'm already forgetting the ape from the previous minute's name.
Mandemus.
It sounds like something Mandemus would have said.
By the way, can y'all hear Jake downstairs? He's very happy.
No, I can't.
Well, good. Maybe I don't ever need to worry about the dogs going nuts.
I'm good with Caesar's opening line. There it is, or was. Virgil's like a sea at storm, but solidified as a weird kind of imagery. A storm at sea, but solidified by a bomb from an army 1,000 times the size of ours. I don't know what
any of that means.
We know that it was decimated by a bomb. I don't know.
Well, see, I even go back to the very first where you say Caesar saying there it is or was. I again draw exception to that. If we go back to the conversation that MacDonald and Caesar had about the city initially, it should be MacDonald that comes and goes, there it is, and then Caesar says, or was. You know, that you've got to have characters throwing things together like that. You don't just have one person delivering everything. Those little differences to me are huge. You know, Caesar always being the pessimist that always has something, and even though he tries to find the truth and bring people beyond it, you just don't even give them the moment to react. And it's kind of, that alone makes it flat. So that then to me, by the time they start pontificating about weird shit that they are defining the bomb by, it just doesn't mean anything.
And nobody to keep its owner's conscience. Is Virgil saying it's abandoned? I mean,
is that maybe that's a good catch?
I mean, the expected to be. I don't know.
Well, maybe they're saying much like Mandemus was the keeper of the conscience of the king. There should be some keeper for the conscience of humankind. But there is none because they're all dead.
Well, maybe they should say that. Wish they'd had a Mandemus. You know, they'd have talked him to death instead of this. You know.
So you want to hear a description of the
Mandemus would have just told them to all kill themselves and go to heaven.
That's right. Yes, please tell us the description.
All right. Virgil says, and nobody to keep its owner's conscience. And then we get reverse matte shot. Modern city, the desert fills the lower half of our frame. As far as the eye can see, the horizon is a shambles. It is the total desolation of one of man's greatest cities. It is massive, silent, utterly dead. A monument to all twisted and contradictory ideas and passions that drove mankind to suicide.
Okay.
Just make up whatever you want.
Is annihilation suicide? I guess it is. I guess you're determining that you're going to kill all and kill yourself. That's whatever.
The total desolation of one man's greatest city is massive, silent, utterly dead. Fantastic. The monument to all twisted and contradictory ideas and passions that drove mankind to suicide. I don't even know why what the writer is supposed to evoke with that statement into this frame.
It's almost like they're trying to evoke the idea of whoever creates the matte painting that it's supposed to be something
twisted, but yeah. I mean, we were already there by calling it a twisted city, right? We don't need contradictory ideas and passions.
So again, I'm going to go back to the very first of the film when we take exception Aldo riding into camp, and we've talked about how interesting it might have been if it was somebody like MacDonald or somebody like that had information about the parents' footage. You could use the radiation because again, they're approaching a place where a nuclear bomb leveled everything, and they're not even looking at the radiation at this point. If MacDonald earlier had gotten the information, maybe he took the Geiger counter. Maybe he was able to get the radiation is waning, or when the winds blow away, it's safe to approach. Anything like that could get us to this point where this all would make a little more sense if they were checking it again. There's no throughput of any type of narrative whatsoever that gives them, why can they be there now? Why can they suddenly stand on the precipice of this decimated city and approach it? We don't get that. Why have they stayed away this long? If it was this easy to get to and it's this easy to look at it, why have they stayed away?
I don't know. And you know, the conversation they have when they approach the city, there may be some concern about whether the archive is intact.
Yeah.
Maybe they're looking at it now. MacDonald wonders, looking at it now. Is anything even still intact?
Well, how does he... Okay, if this is so decimated, how does he even know where the archive was? Because I can't tell what these buildings are anymore. He should have a map that says, this is where it should be. Well, how can we even see it? You know, these conversations are more important than talking about the twisted nature, because we as an audience can look at it and think, holy shit, we do that to each other.
Well, I mean, as a sci-fi fan, I want to hear these small little breakdowns. Like, what does this mean? Where did this come? How did they get out? What's this? You know, I want to follow their path. this is just.
But as a sci-fi fan, you also know that those moments need to be teeny tiny when you're also talking about the story. You don't talk about the warp nacelles or whatever those are called in Star Trek nonstop.
You know what they're called, you big fucking nerd.
Well, I as soon as I said nacelles, I thought, is that how you say that? That's the only reason I said whatever they're called. But you don't talk about that for a whole hour. You talk about that one minuscule moment when the human stuff is around it. And here, all they talk about are the warp nacelles. And with that, I think I've stunned both of you.
But we've arrived to our city.
Mm-hmm.
So we are now about to, as a kid, we're about to get into what's exciting about this movie, right?
Yeah.
We've teased it. Now we're like, okay, this is where, as a kid, the adventure is really about to start.
And I do think as a kid, we get back to this as a kid's movie. This works because as a kid, I don't give a shit what you're talking about. I'm just looking at a blown up city.
I want to get in what is going on. They got guns. There's apes.
That's
Let's
right.
Get in there.
I've got guns. I've got people with ape makeup.
Got radiation detectors.
This is geek heaven.
Yeah, this is the moment. They're like, oh, where are we going? Where are we going?
So let's leave it there. Let's call it a week. We will be back tomorrow, and we're going to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League, and in some ways how it ties together with the Apes films and what studios did to that. So everybody come back tomorrow. We promise we won't give too many spoilers because our dear friend Richard has not seen all the film yet, and I don't want to spoil anything.
I think you're ruining much for me, but it's okay.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Everyone have a great day.
All right, bye.
Hi, everybody.
The minute of the apes. The minute